I've got it down to where I keep the boat on a constant speed on the trolling motor and I make a constant pitch and I'm just doing like this and I don't even grab the bait and have to do that. I got it down to where I can wind it and do that. Wind it, do that. I don't at any point grab it. And so I'm making that more flips and pitches than everybody else, which is putting my bait in front of more targets, which is going to allow me to catch more fish. It's kind of like the Kevin Van Dam philosophy. When he's making his cast with his crankbait and his spinnerbait, he's going to make more casts than everybody else, twice as many. So he's going to have the opportunity of twice as many fish, which puts him the opportunity to catching twice as many bigger fish than everybody else. I feel the same way when I flip and I pitch. So that's what I go back to is when I'm talking about, you know, punching and not finessing it, not sitting there and pitching it in there and sitting there and hopping it and working it, because one thing about it is you put that bait in a place that these fish are not going to normally see a bait. So if you can check it out here, and the way I approach this is I see this big mat, I've got the current running around this point. First place I'm always going to make a pitch to is I'm going to make a pitch right to that first little point there, because that's going to be the first ambush point of where the fish are, because you have the current coming around here, whether it's by tide, whether it's by wind, there's always some form of current coming around a point. Most likely there's going to be a fish there. Fish are like humans. They're lazy. They want to sit in their house and they want food brought to them. It's kind of like you're sitting at home on a Sunday watching football and all of a sudden the doorbell rings. Well, it's the pizza man. You might not order that pizza, but he came by, so you're going to take that pizza and you're going to go ahead and you're going to eat it. And so that's how the fish think is they might not necessarily be hungry, but if it gets delivered to them, they're going to eat it because it's a quick meal. Rate of fall makes a huge difference when punching, and that's the one thing that the reason I like punching so much and that I use such the heavier weights is because I try to have it falling almost as fast as it possibly can fall, because it triggers those fish into striking. You know, everybody's out there fishing stuff and they pitch it through there and they feed the line down through there to make it go real slow, and they say the slow fall attracts a lot more fish. I believe that the total opposite of that, because it's common. It's what they see every day. They get a good look at that bait and they go, oh, that's not something that's real, so they don't want to eat it. So now when I'm punching through there and it's falling through, all they see is something swimming down real fast. They don't have a good chance to look at it, so they have to grab it or they're going to miss it. And bass don't like to miss an easy meal. And so they're always going to trigger on that fall. So the faster it's falling through, the faster that they're going to grab it. And so the hook, which brings me to the point of the hook set. The hook set is not when you make that pitch and you hop it and you get that bite, is to sit there and go and drop the rod tip and crack that fish. You don't want to do that. You don't want to ever have slack in your line. When I design that softer rod, what it does, and it has that give, is I'll pitch it in there, I'll let him load the rod. The fish will actually be pulling the rod, and you can watch the rod tip, and all I do with that 7 to 3 to 1 is I go and I wind a couple of handles and I pull and I lean back when I'm setting that hook. And what that does is it allows that weight to slip through that fish's mouth and get those hooks pegged up in the roof of his head. And so I don't miss and lose any fish. I can't tell you how many times I used to flip it through there and you watch the line jump 3 feet in the air and you just sit there and you're set. And the bait, the weight comes flying back through there, like, oh my God, how did I miss that fish? Well, now you're pitching it through there. That fish gets to get that bait in his mouth. He turns his head, and all you're doing is you're winding and you're pulling, but you're pulling hard. You're not just winding and trying to do that. He's got it. He's pulled the rod down. You're winding and you're pulling back, and I mean, you're using your whole body in that hook set.
When you do miss a fish, will you immediately?
Yes, every single time. And the one thing about it is I've caught fish where I had it happen to me on the Delta, where I flipped in, I caught a 6-pounder, and it was such a smooth transition of catching that fish. It was pretty cool. I'm going down the bank, I caught this fish in practice. I flipped into the hole in practice, I catch the fish, I go back, I let the fish go right in the hole. First day of the tournament, I roll right back up to that same hole. I flip in there. He bites it before it even gets down. All I did is I click the handle. He's got the rod bent over. I pull. The rod that I created creates a bungee. And what it is he pulled down and it bungeed that fish right out. It was so quiet and so intermediate that he bungeed out, he landed in the boat, basically a 6-pounder. And my amateur's like, man, that was pretty cool. And I'm like, yeah. So I put it in the live well, and I'm just like, got my bait, pitch it right back in that hole, caught a 4-pounder, next cast, same exact deal. So, you know, you catch a big one out of there and it doesn't tear up the mat, it doesn't get all crazy up underneath there, definitely make another pitch into that same hole, and you might catch another fish, and I've had that happen several times.
And the information Bass University provides isn't your basic run-of-the-mill fishing video. This is specific information from A to Z to help you learn, get to the water, and become a better angler quickly.